10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us. That's right, this is the No Soundbites Allowed podcast, and I am on the Exceptional Conservative Network, the TECN TV, and I am happy to be here with everyone. I hope you're having a great day. We're going to have a very good episode. This is on the eve of the Memorial Day weekend. I hope everyone's got great plans for the weekend. I hope we're going to take a time to really celebrate Memorial Day and what it means and what it's about. And we're going to talk a little bit about that, although there is a lot of sad news that is also going to be involved in this episode today. But I want to start off, first of all, there was an announcement that just came out, and it's somewhat breaking news here. And no, I don't have my sound effects up, so I'm a little upset. But I did want to address this because many people may have heard about this. I think it's very important that we address this. There was breaking news. Now, for people who are not familiar, in the region of upstate New York that I live in the Broome County region, the southern tier of New York, yesterday, May 22nd, in one of the local high schools, the Union Endicott High School, there was a incident. There was a lockdown of the school. Obviously, a lot of parents were very concerned about this. This was happening at the same time that in the region, another high school was having a safety drill, so it's odd timing with that. But in the Union Endicott school, the school was locked down because of an incident with a gun that was expected or was considered, and they had to shut down the school and investigate. And the news reported that there was, in fact, a 911 call of a suspect having a gun on the grounds of the school, a gun-free zone. And as it turned out, there has been an arrest of, and I'm reporting this from the announcement on Twitter by Vince Briga, one of the local reporters for Spectrum News, and he mentions that an arrest has been made of an 18-year-old Derek Abney, that's Derek Abney, of Binghamton, New York, who was in possession of a firearm at the school, apparently. And so that is the breaking news. Now, the thing that we should take away from that, and the thing that's really important about that, is that what this has gone on, and you can see my Twitter comment over at MV Consult on Twitter. What essentially that means is that there was a complete failure of gun-free zones. There was a complete failure of the New York SAFE Act. There was a complete failure of the red flag legislation that was enacted this year. In other words, all of these things that have been promised, absolutely promised, you've been guaranteed that if you exchange your freedom for your right to the Second Amendment, your freedom of choice, your rights and freedoms were put on a bargaining table. And you were told that if you passed the gun-free zones, if you passed the New York SAFE Act, if you passed the red flag legislation, that you will be safe, that your safety and the safety of your children, and especially in schools and mass shootings and school shootings, they would decrease and you would have greater safety. That was the promise that was made by Governor Cuomo, by many in the Democratic Party, the New York State Legislature under the single party rule of Democrats. You were promised these things. And this is something that has been promised in states across the nation. It's been said in Illinois. It's been said in California. It has been said in Connecticut. We've been told that this will prevent these kinds of mass shootings, these incidents where we can see a gun in and around our children. That's the promise. That was what we were told. And all you have to do is give up some of your rights and you would have that safety. In exchange, and what we have seen, not just in exchange, but in reality, is that individuals with a criminal intent do not follow the law. That is a fact. That is a fact we see here in Union Endicott High School. That is a fact that we see in the southern tier of New York. That is a fact we have seen across the nation and the world. Telling people, creating a law that affects only law-abiding citizens, that only impacts law-abiding citizens, who are 99.999% of the time not a problem, does not make you safer. It just makes you less free. That is a fact. And that fact has been proven yet again with this 18-year-old going to the Union Endicott High School with a firearm. But for whatever reason, and we don't have the reason yet, Vince Briga will be probably reporting that shortly. But what is the motive? I don't know. And it doesn't really matter. A criminal intent to violate a gun-free zone, a criminal intent violating the New York SAFE Act, violating red flag legislation, violating dozens of gun control and gun laws has been committed. Period. You are not safer. You are less free. You are not safer. That's what we need to take away from that. And when we hear people say, well, all you need is, what do they call it, common sense gun legislation, realize that there is no common sense in this. Common sense says that you punish and try to prevent criminals from doing criminal acts, from the deranged being able to commit acts of vile evil. That is what common sense would say that you need to do. Common sense doesn't say punish the people who aren't a problem to start with. That's what it is. And if we were smarter in New York State, we would probably have adopted some of the regulations that Florida has adopted after the Parkland shooting, where they enabled armed resource officers into the schools and allow teachers to be armed so that they can better protect the students, rather than have them duck and cover and pray that they are able to reach to attack that shooter and be able to stop that shooter before they are able to kill more people. So that in that first minute, in the most dangerous time of any school shooting or any event with school shootings, is the first minute to 3 minutes. That is when the highest number of people are injured and harmed and killed because of the lack of response and the amount of confusion and chaos. And what helps in that situation, and helps actually in every incident of mass shootings, is the presence of another individual, a good person, who has a firearm that is able to return fire and to stop that individual from targeting innocents who are defenseless and unable to protect themselves. There is no law that protects you from a bullet, period. There is no law that protects you when someone of criminal and evil intent, deranged individuals, decide that the only answer that is available to them is to go forward and to harm innocent people. There is the root of the problem. We have not addressed that. We continue to not address that as a nation, and that is why we continue to see these incidents. That is why we have a problem, because we are not addressing what makes an 18-year-old say, I need to take a firearm to school to potentially or actually harm other innocent students, children, individuals. What makes them say that that is the only answer left in their lives? If we cannot answer that, we cannot resolve this, and there is no law that you can pass that will be able to protect people if you cannot answer that question, and we are not. And that's why I am upset about that. But that is the breaking news. Vince Briga has made that announcement. I did want to share that. You can go on to Vince Briga, Briga TV, and see his tweet. You can see my response at the MV Consult on Twitter as well. And please make your comment on that. But that was not the focus of the show today.